Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for our second annual President's Innovation Challenge info session. We are so delighted that you're joining us here today to learn a little bit more about the competition. My name is Nevena Cvetic. I am the Executive Director of Leadership Professional Career Development here at the Graduate College, and joining me today is Dr. Kate Corrigan, our Senior
Vice
Provost
Provost for
Academic
Academic
Affairs.
Affairs.
Thank you. And Dr. Robert Rippey, he's the Executive Director of the Blackfire Innovation and Hughes Hub at UNLV.
Close enough.
And we're going to talk to you about the competition and answer any questions that you might have for us. But before we do that, we're going to share a little video with you to get us started. So let me just go ahead and start that. And let me know if you do not hear it.
Works.
Great.
So a big thank you to Jessica here in the Grad College and Nevena and the Grad Academy team, not just for helping to put all of this on, but for that video. The video really captures the essence of this year's President's Innovation Challenge. I don't know about all of you, but those first few slides, that first half of the video makes my heart beat. I can feel myself get a little bit nervous and anxious. Seeing all the problems in the world around us. But that second half of the video is, I think, really capturing the essence of what the President's Innovation Challenge is and why you do it. Because the second half of that video was about you, all of you, each of you, everyone on campus, right? The people of the world, figuring out ways to, in small, medium, and big ways, address the challenges that we face. And okay, my bias, I'm both an optimist and a sociologist. And so I do believe that solutions exist, and our task is to find them, to ask the right questions, to pull together the right teams, and to come up with innovations, ideas, bold thoughts and dreams that can help address the very real, scary challenges that the world faces today. And so we have something called the President's Innovation Challenge. Clearly, you know a little bit about it because you're here. But let me just tell you what we're doing this year. So last year was our first President's Innovation Challenge. It's called that because the Innovation Challenge is really the brainchild of our president, President Keith E. Whitfield. He was the really jovial looking person in that first slide that you saw. And President Whitfield had been part of similar innovation challenges at other universities, but he really wanted to challenge the UNLV community to come together in interesting ways to innovate creative solutions to the kinds of challenges that we face. So last year was our first year doing the challenge, and our topic was about sort of resiliency, about solutions to a sort of single economic model that Las Vegas has been based on. And so last year was very Vegas focused. This year, we have a different challenge. And this year's challenge is certainly related to Las Vegas and the challenges we face here, but it is global, as you could tell from the video. So this year's challenge question is, how will you make your impact, right? So the second President's Innovation Challenge presents the opportunity for you and the teams that you create or the teams that we help match you into to chart the course to a more sustainable future. That is, to find a way to impact the world and address some aspect of sustainability. So really what we're asking our teams to do in this year's challenge is to define how you can apply your knowledge, your expertise, and that rebel innovative spirit that we all have as UNLV rebels to solve a sustainability challenge. We don't tell you which sustainability challenge, that's for you to decide. So your team solution is not limited to science or engineering or STEM. Your team can focus on any sustainability challenge that's of interest to you, and your interdisciplinary team can come together and create a solution that addresses the issue in any number of ways. So for example, what we said is, imagine a new communications platform that helps raise awareness about carbon impact and carbon footprints and how to lower our carbon footprints. Or maybe there's a way to address clean water needs in underdeveloped communities. Or for that matter, right here in the US, we have many communities that don't have access to clean water. And what does that do in the community, and how can we address that issue? Of course, in our own backyard, we have Lake Mead drying up, and we have water crises on the horizon. So maybe there are things that we can do right here. Perhaps there are ways to impact sustainability questions in healthcare or game-based learning that can be an educational tool to help children understand the topic of sustainability. So really, you get to pick which part of sustainability interests you, what challenge, what problem you want to address, and then you come together to innovate in an interdisciplinary way to create a solution, small, large, whatever your vision takes you to. So the future is yours, both literally and figuratively, and this challenge is an opportunity for you to envision a way to make it better. So that's not all. Our teams will be competing for all kinds of prizes. We will have a $50,000 prize pool for our participating individuals and teams. The winning team will receive a $25,000 grand prize that will be dedicated specifically to supporting the team to take their concept, their innovation, and to move it forward, right? So it may involve patents, it may involve other kinds of investments that help you take the idea and move it closer to making it a reality. You'll also have a place in the UNLV incubator, which is right near campus at the gorgeous Howard Hughes Center. Very coveted real estate for offices and businesses. And UNLV has been fortunate enough to have a place there that is an incubator for great ideas and small businesses who are looking to make them a reality. And you'll hear more about that from our friend and colleague, Dr. Robert Rippey, who's on this call. Dr. Robert Rippey runs that incubator. So our winning team will have a space there to work with the incubator and benefit from the support that it provides. Students who advance to the final round, which means, from January forward, will receive a tuition payment for the spring semester class. So you get one free class and you get a free parking pass. So, that's all good, right? So just making it to the finals gives you a class and a pass. And so that, I think, is an exciting carrot for your participation. And then participating teams this fall will receive sustenance packages. So access to Blackfire Innovation, the beautiful graduate college commons here in the Gateway building. So you'll have access to spaces on campus that you need for meeting and thinking and working out your innovation and idea. And the sustenance packages are, ways that we can invest in you so that you've got a little extra access to things like, food, late night food and coffee to keep you awake and all those things that you'll need to support you as you add this innovation challenge activity to your already busy schedules. And so let me just say one more thing about teams specifically, and then I'll hand it to my colleague, Robert. So what we ask is that you sign up as an individual. If you'd like to sign up as a team, you know who you'd like to participate with, that's just fine. If not, it's totally okay. We have lots of people who sign up individually, and then we help put you in teams. So teams have to have certain characteristics. This innovation challenge is at its very core multidisciplinary, which means that we firmly believe that no innovation can happen well and be brought to reality in a successful way without having team members involved from different disciplines. So we require the teams have multiple disciplines represented. Students in 2 or 3 or 4 different disciplines is ideal. We also require that every team have at least one graduate student and one undergraduate student on the team. And that allows a couple of things. It gives different sort of levels of experience and expertise, but it also provides some sort of near peer mentorship between our graduate students and our undergraduate students. So that's worked really well, and we're going to stick with that. So our teams are really diverse. Last year, just so you know, we had 50 different disciplines represented. We had a wildly diverse array of students participate. We had 16 teams. We're looking to beat that this year and have even more. So we're really hoping that tonight we can provide some information and some answers for you so that you'll raise your hand, submit that form, and join one of our teams for this year's Innovation Challenge. So I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Rippey, who's going to share some additional information.
Thank you, Kate. You know what? I love that video. I'm going to put it in as my screensaver, I'm pretty sure. It's pretty good. You did a magnificent job. So good evening, everyone. Welcome. It's good to see so many great faces out there and names for those that don't have cameras on. I'm Robert Rippey, and I'm going to talk a bit about innovation as it relates to this challenge because it's an extraordinary opportunity for you. So when we think of innovation at UNLV, we think of phases, and this is kind of the first phase, the idea phase. This is where you come up with an idea that has potential to change the world, or at the very least, become a commercial product. You see some examples there. Haley's Hand, you see some esports, other things. So it's across the board where ideas happen on campus. They happen in your colleges, they happen in researchers, and they happen to people who actually set out to do it. They set out to pursue an idea and solve some sort of problem because they see their path as being an entrepreneur. And so this is kind of the first step. The second step in that process, and it's not unique to UNLV, it's true at every campus that focuses on entrepreneurial innovation programs, is to create a business model. And that happens in what Kate referred to as our incubator. That's a facility that's slightly off campus. It's located over in Hughes Center. That's over off of Flamingo and Koval, that beautiful office park there, right by the Sphere, actually. And so we have a facility in there that is a seminar area and co-working space where we assist you and your team in developing your own business model. It's been a well-researched phenomenon that successful startups have one thing in common. They have a good business model. Those that fail also have something in common. They don't have a good business model. So even though you may have the most astounding idea on sustainability, what's going to make it successful ultimately is a good business model. And so that's why incubators play such an important role in taking ideas to market. And that's how we view it here at UNLV, is that we help you to create a business model that has a better than even chance of hopefully making it beyond that. After the business model is created, then many startups are ready to enter the market or they're ready to go seek financing. Some of them, though, need a little bit more time. Maybe it's because they're building a device and need a prototype, or they need some more input from subject matter experts. And that happens in accelerators. And our accelerator is called Blackfire. And it's located out at the Harry Reid Research and Technology Park, which, if you haven't been out there, it's an awesome place. It's way out, and I shouldn't say way out, it's out in Southwest Las Vegas, right by IKEA. So everybody knows where IKEA is, kind of a landmark. It's just a block or so away from there. And it's the first building in the research park, but it's the one that's focused on acceleration of some particular tech. And so the companies that are in there are at various degrees of entering the market. And we have everything from startup companies that are based there, that are trying to get financing, or they're working on a prototype, or they've got financing and they're trying to scale their company, to two of Nevada's very first unicorns. So unicorn is a startup that gains $1 billion in valuation. That's a huge number. Nevada has had three. We've got two of them there, and the third one's our partner. So we kind of got the market cornered on the unicorns in Nevada. But it illustrates the point that Blackfire is a place where we have everything that is connected to the world of entrepreneurship and startups. We've got startups there that are actually like AI Foundation. There's a great startup working in AI, and they're trying to raise funding so that they can scale their company to these unicorns that are worth $1 billion. So at Blackfire, companies that are there are shoulder to shoulder with them. You'll meet them over coffee, over the water fountain. You can ask a question about fundraising or about value proposition. You can go to a pitch day. So that is an environment that is obviously conducive to that. And after that, well, that's the market. That's when you become a company and you head out to try and carve your own path. So we have built at UNLV in a very short span all of the resources to help make all of that a reality. But it starts right here. It starts with projects like President's Innovation Challenge, where you have the opportunity to solve a problem and come up with a really interesting solution. Okay, I think we're ready for the next slide. So I'm interested. Is this me? Oh yeah, it is me. This is me. So this is a framework for coming up with great ideas. This actually comes from an accelerator in Mountain View, California called Y Combinator. Some of you may have heard of YCOM. They are the most successful accelerator ever devised. They have produced over 3,000 companies since 2005. Oh, and some of them you might have heard of. Airbnb, DoorDash, Coinbase. This company creates unicorns. This accelerator, they are the best at it. And so I modeled our incubator accelerator programs after theirs because they're really the top of the shelf. But I use one thing in particular in President's Innovation Challenge because this is going to help you. This is going to help you get started. Great innovation. Doesn't matter if you're DoorDash, Airbnb, or AI Foundation, starts with one really simple premise. Find a problem and solve it. Guess what? We've given you the problem, so you got that part. But what you have to do is take it one more step. And this framework that Y Combinator uses is actually the way to look at the problem. It's not coming up with a solution yet. It's looking into the problem. And what they have found, this is the criteria that they actually use to allow companies to come into their accelerator. They do 2 cohorts a year. They invest $500,000 in your company, all kinds of really cool stuff. But this is the gate. If you can get past this, you'll make a good round. So what they say is that your understanding of the problem is so important that it is the primary criteria that they use. So here's what they are. You can see there are 7 factors. The first one, is it a big or growing problem? Well, we know sustainability is a very big problem. It's a global problem. It's a problem for future generations. It spans generations. It's going to be a bigger problem the further we go down on the generation scale. So is it big? Absolutely. Is it growing? It couldn't be a bigger problem. Is it urgent? Better believe it. It's urgent. Needs to be solved now. We need to do things now because we can't wait for you for the next generation after you to solve it. We need to start doing things now, which is why this is the challenge. Do you have a clear hypothesis for your solution or a pitch? That's good. You want to be able to say in just a very short phrase, what is your how well can you address the problem, and how does your solution relate to it? Next, what kind of insights do you have? What kind of research? Hey, you're college students, you're great at research. So what can you do to support yourself? This is a step up over many startups. I listen to startup pitches, I don't know, 50 or so a year. And overwhelmingly, the best ones have great research with them. They come in there and they're confident, they know what they're talking about. I had the pleasure today to be a judge in Rebel Grad Slam today and listen to some really terrific researchers. And I heard this one point, research, it was coming across real clearly. So spend time understanding and research the problem, not just the solution that you're going to come up with. Is it a frequent problem? Does it happen frequently? Well, yes, it does. Of course, it happens frequently. It happens every day in every country in many, many, many different ways. Is it costly to solve? Yes. If it's costly to solve, there's a big market there. And last is mandatory. And what they're referring to now is not that it's mandatory to solve, but rather is it created because of some change in the legal environment? Was a law changed what did it? And this happens every day where you see emissions regulations changes, which then has a ripple effect. Or we see in Southern Nevada, we have a very significant problem with water. And so you see Nevada Water District changing the regulations on the amount of water that can be taken out of Lake Mead every year to try and help conserve Lake Mead. So is the problem caused by these changes in regulation? So if you look at those 7 factors and then kind of take them as deep as you want to take them, you are really building a nice template for addressing your problem, because this is the one that YCOM and UNLV will say, this will help you. So if you start here, I think you'll be on the right track. Start here and then move to your solution. Don't jump to a solution yet. Diagnose your problem in detail, and this is a great framework. Okay? Want me to take this?
Yeah, I'll take this one. Hi,
Okay,
everyone.
good.
So now that you've learned a little bit about the challenge, the question, the competition, let's talk about logistics. So for the rest of this semester, you're going to be working on forming your team. And once you have done so, you're going to start attending technical assistance workshops, working on your proposal, and then you're going to submit it at the end of the semester. Well, at the end of winter break. We'll talk about dates in a little bit. And then if you move on to the next round, you're going to spend your spring semester working on your final solution to the problem statement, working with your team, getting mentoring, and then you're going to present to a panel of very distinguished judges. Last year's panel had people from entrepreneurs to executives to policymakers, and we definitely plan on having a panel like that again this week. It's going to be very Shark Tank style, just to prepare you a little bit for that. So basically, for next steps, you're going to be submitting your interest form if you haven't already done so by November 21st. We're actually going to be hosting several workshops. Let me pull up the list to tell you a little bit about those. Let's see. So on November 21st, we're going to be hosting a mixer where you're going to get an opportunity to form your teams. You get to learn about other students and what disciplines they're in. And during that mixer, we're also going to be hosting a innovative thinking and problem solving workshop, and also a idea incubation workshop during that time. We actually also have a workshop tomorrow. It's about project management and planning. It's going to be virtual at 10 a.m. And we'll also be hosting a market assessment and customer discovery workshop next week as well. So these will be a combination of virtual or hybrid workshops. It just kind of depends on what it is that you can make it to, but we're going to be recording all of them. So don't worry, you'll get all of the information if you're not able to join us during those times that we're going to be hosting the workshops. All of the workshops and the RSVP links can be found on the President's Innovation Challenge website. And then you're going to have until November 28th to form your teams. And if you aren't able to form a team, or maybe you're missing one or 2 members, don't worry, we're going to match you with other students and form your teams for you. So then you can get started on working on your proposal. Then you're going to have until January 3rd to submit your proposal. So you'll have all of winter break to work on that and work with your team. And we're going to announce the next round of winners January 10th. So then you'll know if you've moved on to the next round, and you'll get all of spring semester to attend other workshops that will help you with your final proposal. And you will receive some coaching on presentations and things like that as well. We're going to be sharing many templates and guidelines with you throughout your journey in this competition. So you'll have all of those type of guidance that you need for the challenge. And we're going to share all the recordings and create a special playlist for President's Innovation Challenge workshops and resources for you as well. So you can refer back to those. So now what we'll do is open it up to questions to see if you all have any for us so we can answer those. You can feel free to unmute yourself, or you can use the chat and ask us any questions you might have.
I have a question.
Sure.
Uh, last year's winner. Can you tell us a little bit about last year's winner and what it was, and that way we have an idea of kind of, I know each project is different, but what you guys looked for last year.
Yeah, Robert, you work closely with that team. Do you mind sharing a little bit?
I don't mind at all. In fact, I work with most of the teams. So remember, last year we had a different problem statement. So it was about economic diversity in Southern Nevada as a result of what we learned from the pandemic. So they had a completely different problem set, but I gave the talk about the Y Combinator. So the team that won had come up with a solution for hydroponic growing. That's a stackable modular system. They actually built their prototype at Blackfire's Makerspace. In fact, I think 3 of the top 4 teams actually work in Blackfire's Makerspace to build prototypes. It was a really extraordinary event for them. So they had, I don't remember the academic breakdown. There was a Master's of Finance. There was a doctoral candidate, I think. But they had a multidisciplinary team, of course, did a fantastic presentation. I think their presentation at the finals was obviously the best since they won. But I think overall, the way that they integrated their research and their prototype and then linked it all together in a presentation that just wowed all of the judges. And I think everybody actually tasted some of the vegetables they were growing in there. They were able to grow in a short period of time these microgreens. That was it. That was what I was looking for, microgreens. But an interesting thing, I'll say this as well. It was an idea that really evolved during the course of the President's Innovation Challenge. And they had some vague ideas at the beginning, but the more they got into it, the more they kind of evolved their idea. And as well, when they started to build their prototype, they started pivoting a lot. They started, changing what they were doing because they started realizing some of the limitations in what they were going to try to do. And as well as look at what was already out in the market.
Does the student get any academic credit to participate in the challenge, and can they do that through their capstone credit course?
I can take that.
Okay.
So the President's Innovation Challenge doesn't come with any credits. So participating is co-curricular, right? You're competing for prizes, and it's definitely supplemental to your educational experience as a student, right? So we highly encourage it. But if you have a capstone requirement, it may be possible for you to work through your department and make the project that you do for the Innovation Challenge part of your capstone project or your capstone project. But that would be up to you as a student to talk to your faculty advisor, your mentor, whomever it is that you're working with in your department to see if there could be credit available in any way.
Annie, you had a question?
Hi, I had 2. First, was the last year winner's presentation, was it recorded? And could we see like a recording of that? And second is if there's like a maximum number of team members allowed per team?
Yes, so we definitely did record it. We live streamed it, so I can send that to this group after this meeting just so you can have something to refer to. You'll be able to see all of the teams. And then what was your second question?
It was if there's like a maximum number of team members allowed.
I believe it's 3 to 5. Yes. So the minimum is 3, the maximum is 5.
And I would say, I mean, it's logical, and I understand the impulse to want to know everything about the winning team and take a look at their video, but I really strongly encourage you to just watch the whole thing. It goes really quickly because the teams were really very different. And I want to emphasize that not only do we look for multidisciplinarity in this, but your solution doesn't have to be, a business. It doesn't have to be economically driven. We had lots of teams that were proposing social solutions, with high social impact. And that's not just absolutely fine, but also encouraged. And so you should take a look. And I will also say that, you know, having worked with the judges and seen the scoring, it was a very close competition. So it's not like the top team, you know, was far and above and everyone else was way below. So I think you'll get inspiration if you watch, you know, the whole video and see the breadth of ideas and presentation styles.
Zach, did you have a question?
Yeah, so you sort of touched on it just then, but I was curious on, I guess, what the deliverable can be. Obviously, like we were talking about, you just said it doesn't necessarily have to be a business, but I guess coming from my sort of public policy background, I'm wondering if something policy report, policy proposal, something of that nature that's not necessarily a deliverable enterprise, but maybe something else is on the table, so to speak, as a deliverable for this.
Definitely. So one of the teams last year actually did a little bit something similar to what you're talking about. They actually wanted to create certificate programs for high school students for workforce development. And their idea was to also partner with Microsoft and some other local partners. So their deliverable was they brought with them pamphlets and ideas of what it would actually look like. So you can definitely do something like that. It doesn't have to be, you know, a prototype of some type of business idea either.
The other thing I would add is it can be anything, right? So some teams might want to develop an app and show sort of what the app might look like. Other folks might develop an actual thing, right, where you have a prototype that you can show. Others have a sort of concept, a business concept, social impact kind of concept, and they bring other collateral, like you just heard. But as a public policy person, you'd be very valuable on lots of different types of teams. So it may be that you end up on a team where your public policy expertise, you know, enriches and, you know, helps drive that team's innovation, but maybe the innovation isn't policy. Not that it couldn't be, but and one example is our third place team. We're proposing drone mapping, sort of an innovative creation of drone maps full of information that's linked to different databases to solve different kinds of problems. And so obviously there's a very strong public policy component there in terms of drone regulation and licensing and what you can film and how you coordinate with the local municipalities and that sort of thing. So they had a public policy person on that committee, as well as I believe an engineer and some other folks in other disciplines.
So another question here is, how do I find members or other students to team up with? So Gabson, great question. You can come to our mixer on November 21st and meet other students that are there. We're gonna do some sort of kind of like a speed dating type of session. We're going to go around to different tables and you're going to get to talk to them a little bit, talk about what their research is, what they're interested in, so that way you can form teams. Or even maybe if you have a pitch, you can pitch it to other students that are there and see if they want to form a team with you. And then if you you can come, or maybe you couldn't find a team, we can help you form one after that. Cecilia, did you have a question?
I have a quick question, and that's great that you can help us to form a team, because last year I didn't get the chance to get my own team and didn't have much time to browse around. Basically, my question is, do we have to form the team just with UNLV partners, or can we get a partner, one or so, from outside UNLV?
Great question. So the actual team is students from UNLV, but if you maybe have somebody that wants to be a mentor that's from outside of UNLV, that's definitely acceptable, because we tap into a lot of community members and leaders of different fields to be mentors for this. So that's definitely an option, but the actual team will have to be UNLV students.
That sounds great. Do you have any dates to help us forming a team within UNLV?
Yes, so November 21st is going to be our mixer, and we'll send out information to the group that came here today, so you can RSVP for that.
Thank you so much.
So we have a question here. How do judges score the presentation? For example, are certain things given more weight than others? So the judges will all have a rubric that's going to ask them different questions and ask them to rate you in different categories. That way that everyone is scored the same way. And it's not just about, the idea, it's also about, the way you deliver it, were you clear in what you explained, did you pitch it, were you engaging? So we'll share those rubrics with you all, so that way you have an idea of what you're going to be graded on, so that way that, or scored on, that way you can take all those things into consideration, when you're putting together your proposal. Robert, did you have anything to add maybe about other areas of the rubric?
No, you covered it right there. I mean, they're all equally weighted. You already said that. And we'll share those with you. You'll be able to see what the rubrics are for both phase 1 and phase 2. They're very similar, but 2 adds a few more things.
Any other questions? And you'll probably think of many questions after this, or as you start forming your teams, or maybe attending our workshops. But we have our President's Innovation Challenge email. You can always reach out to us, and we can set up time to chat with you and answer any of your questions. And we'll just also guide you along the way with the different steps, because there are many. So don't think you have to remember everything right now. We'll definitely be in communication with everyone. But the next biggest step is for you to fill out that interest form, so that way we know you're interested and we can send out all these communications to you about the challenge. All right then, well, thank you all so much for joining us today. Hopefully you are inspired to join the challenge and come up with an awesome solution, and we'll be in touch with you soon with more information. I hope everyone has a great rest of your night.
Thanks for being here. Hope to see you soon.
Bye.
Okay.